Magnus had returned, the greatest lion to ever walk the savannah, his spirit glowing brighter than the stars themselves. But he wasn't alone. Behind him, more lights descended. Star-shaped spirits of lions long gone, ancestors of the pride, guardians of the land. They shimmered with celestial grace, walking beside Magnus as if the sky itself had opened a path for them. Magnus stepped forward, his eyes falling upon Musa's lifeless body. Even in the eyes of the mighty, there was sorrow. He lowered his head, honoring the fallen lion, the prince who had sacrificed everything. Then, from the golden mist behind him, another figure emerged, a tall, regal lion cloaked in starlight and shadow. Queen Isolde gasped, "Aurelius!" It was him, King Aurelius. Saber's mouth dropped open in disbelief, his eyes wide with shock. He took an instinctive step back, overwhelmed by the presence of the father he had failed. King Aurelius's gaze fell on his younger son, not with rage, but with a deep, piercing disappointment. A silence more powerful than any roar passed between them. It said everything. He turned from Saber and looked down at Musa, sadness filling his glowing eyes. Then slowly, he lifted his head and looked toward Isolde. Her legs trembled as he approached, but when he smiled, that warm, familiar smile, something inside her steadied. He came close, his starlit form wrapping gently around her. She sobbed into the light of him, and for a moment, she was no longer alone. A hush fell over the pride. Even in the midst of sorrow, something sacred stirred. Hope, peace, the promise of reunion. She knew, in that moment, that one day, not today, not soon, but one day, they would all be together again, among the stars. The wind stilled as the great lion lowered his head, his glowing paw reaching out to gently touch Musa's chest. It was time. He had come to guide the young lion's soul to the stars, to take him to his place among the ancestors. But then, something stopped him. A quiet sound, Nala's cry, so filled with love and grief. She knelt beside Musa, her body shaking, her eyes locked onto his with a pain only true love could know.
"Please, don't take him. Not yet."
Magnus paused. He felt it. Not just the sorrow of a pride, but the heartbreak of a young lioness who had lost the future she was meant to share. A life that was supposed to be filled with love, with laughter, with cubs of their own, chasing butterflies through golden fields. And nearby, the mother, Queen Isolde, cradled her son's body. She had just found him again, and now he was being taken away before she could even hear his voice one last time. Then there was Pico, the small meerkat, his little heart breaking, his trembling paws pressed over his chest as if holding it together by sheer will. Magnus looked at them all. This wasn't just a death. This was a wound to the very heart of the world. And though it was against the laws of nature, against the ancient order of the stars, Magnus, the greatest lion to ever live, made a choice. A choice he wasn't supposed to make. Magnus slowly lifted his paw from Musa's chest and looked up toward the sky. The stars above began to shimmer, brighter, closer, as if the sky itself were holding its breath. Then, a beam of soft golden light broke through the clouds, descending gently onto Musa's lifeless body. It wrapped around him like a blanket of warmth. Gasps rippled through the clearing. Musa's body began to rise. He levitated slowly, surrounded by stardust, as the wind swirled gently around him. The wounds that had once marked his body began to fade, glowing with celestial light. The blood vanished. The pain dissolved. His fur shimmered beneath the starlight. The lions watched in stunned silence, eyes wide, hearts pounding. Even Saber, frozen in place, could only stare. And slowly, Musa began to descend, gently, softly, until his body touched the ground. He was breathing. Everyone stood frozen, breath held, eyes locked on Musa, waiting for the moment his eyes would open. The clearing was silent, filled with awe and fragile hope. Magnus took one last glance at the lions gathered below. The ancient guardian nodded solemnly, then began to withdraw. One by one, the celestial lions turned, their forms shimmering with starlight. Among them, King Aurelius lingered a moment longer. He looked at his wife, Queen Isolde, and smiled, a soft, loving smile that carried 1,000 unspoken words. Their eyes met, and for that fleeting moment, it was as if time bowed in reverence to their bond. Then, with the grace of fading stars, the spirits vanished, dissolving into glowing golden and silver dust that danced gently through the air, carried away by the wind. And all that remained was silence, wonder, and the fragile rise and fall of Musa's breath. Slowly, ever so slowly, Musa's eyes began to flutter open. A breath, soft and unsure, escaped his lips. Then another. He was alive. A moment of stunned silence swept across the clearing. And then, a roar of joy erupted. Animals that had gathered from all corners of the land, elephants trumpeting, birds soaring, lions roaring, all cheered as one. The pride burst into cries of celebration. Nala, Queen Isolde, and Pico rushed to him, laughter and sobs tangled in every breath. They fell around Musa, embracing him as if afraid he might vanish again.
Thank you, great Magnus.
Musa, still dazed, slowly pushed himself to his feet. He looked down at his body. No wounds, no scars, only a faint, glowing mark on his chest, like a celestial brand.
What happened?
But before another thought could form, a warmth wrapped around him. Arms he knew, a scent he had longed for. His mother. Queen Isolde pulled him tightly into her embrace, sobbing into his mane.
My son, my sweet boy, you came back to me.
Musa closed his eyes, leaning into her, finally allowing the tears to fall.
Mom, is it you? Is it really you? I can't believe it. I can finally hug you again. I'm so sorry for everything. I left, I ran, and not a day went by that I didn't think about you. Please, forgive me.
She cupped his face as she looked into his eyes.
No, Musa. Don't you dare apologize. It was our fault. We hid the truth from you. That was our mistake, not yours. But you're here now, and that's all I ever prayed for.
And there, in the heart of the pride, surrounded by love, under the stars that had brought him back, Musa held his mother for the first time in years. Alive. Home. Saber watched from a distance as the pride rejoiced. Laughter and tears of joy filled the air, and every gaze turned toward Musa, full of love and honor. He had everything Saber had once dreamed of: the respect, the forgiveness, the family. But all Saber could see were his father's eyes. The deep, unforgettable disappointment. With shame weighing heavy on his heart, he stood alone. No one looked his way. No one cared about his so-called victory. The lions who had once been loyal to him now turned their backs in silence and walked away. He hadn't just lost a battle. He had lost everything. Tears welled in his eyes as he realized he was no longer needed. So, slowly, he turned to leave, carrying nothing but his guilt. But just as he began to disappear into the shadows, a voice called out,
Saber!
It was Musa. His eyes were full of pain, but also forgiveness. Saber stopped. He glanced back at Musa and then at their mother, but he couldn't face them. He was too ashamed. And so, without a word, he turned away and ran into the darkness. And so, with Saber disappearing into the shadows, the dark days finally came to an end. The land, once peaceful, then ravaged by fear and division, began to heal. Life returned. Birds soared once more through the skies. Rivers ran clear. Animals of all kinds returned to their rightful homes. Lions who had fled during Saber's rule slowly made their way back, reuniting with friends, with family, with the pride they once knew. Musa didn't need a ceremony or a crown. He was already a king, in every heart, in every soul. He led not with power, but with compassion, not with fear, but with love. Keyless, though wounded in battle, had survived. Now, he stood proudly at Musa's side, honored to fight for him, and prouder still to call him king. King Atlas, at last, found the peace he had long sought for his pride. No more running, no more fear, only home. And little Pico, brave, funny, and fiercely loyal, relocated with his entire meerkat family. He had a place now, not just in the pride, but in Musa's heart. He wasn't just a friend, he was family. The savannah thrived again, under a sky filled with stars. And among them, one star shined just a little brighter than the rest. A new chapter had begun, not one of kings and power, but of unity, peace, and love. After 2 peaceful years, a mighty roar echoed through the royal crest pride, splitting the early morning calm like a thunderclap. Queen Isolde jolted awake, her heart racing. Pico, who had been snoring softly nearby, shot up, his eyes wide with alarm. From dens and resting places all across the savannah, lions lifted their heads, alert, curious, stirred by the sound. But it wasn't a roar of fear, it was a roar of life. Then came the news, whispered first, then spreading like a joyous wildfire. Nala had given birth. The pride rushed to the birthing den, hearts thundering with excitement, paws pounding the soft earth. Queen Isolde arrived first, her eyes wide with emotion. Right behind her was King Atlas, his usually proud and regal expression softened with grandfatherly warmth and awe. There, nestled in the warmth of soft grasses and Nala's gentle embrace, were 3 tiny white cubs. 2 daughters, 1 son. One of the girls had the most vivid green eyes, sparkling like sunlit leaves in spring. The other, with calm and soulful brown eyes, blinked up with quiet curiosity. And the boy, the smallest of the 3, had deep, striking blue eyes, just like his father. Nala was glowing, exhaustion in her breath, but joy in every heartbeat. Musa stood beside her, his eyes shimmering with tears, his body trembling with pride and awe. He leaned down and nuzzled each cub gently, whispering words no one else could hear. Queen Isolde's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow this time, but of overwhelming happiness. She placed her paw over Nala's and whispered,
They're perfect. Just perfect.
King Atlas stood silently beside them, his gaze fixed on his daughter and grandchildren. A proud smile crossed his face as he murmured.
They will carry our legacy well.
Pico, unable to hold back his excitement, danced in place, cheering.
Three little fluff balls! We're going to need a bigger den!
And just then, with perfect timing, the little green-eyed cub yawned, rolled over clumsily, and promptly bit Pico's tail.
Yo! Ouch! Ah!
Pico yelped, hopping in circles. Laughter erupted all around as the cub blinked up at him innocently, already showing a mischievous spark. The sun rose higher, casting golden light over the land. It was a new dawn, a new legacy, and in that moment, filled with love, laughter, and life, the Royal Crest Pride knew the future was brighter than ever. The end